Oh, James, the big day sort of drawing closer. How you start to look forward to it now, playing at the Amex?
It's going to be a fantastic experience for us. But obviously we've got games before the sort of the big date, so we're trying not to look too far ahead towards the 6th of December. But obviously as it's getting closer, it'll be getting a little bit more exciting for us, and we're really looking forward to it.
You obviously know your players well. How do you expect them to react to sort of the big stage?
I expect them to relish in it. I know that they're looking forward to it, and it's the first time that they've ever played at the Amex, so it's one that they'll be quite excited by, I feel, and just hoping that they can obviously rise to the challenge and perform on the day.
Couldn't have chosen much of a harder game, could you, in your league programme?
I don't think there is any hard games in our league programme, if I'm being honest. It don't matter what team it would have been, it would still be just as difficult. But I think it's good that it's Charlton, because obviously they are seem to be one of our title contenders, and the men play them on Saturday, so it's nice that it's a double header, but we'll be hoping for a nice easy win, and 3 points would be nice.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your season so far?
We had a fantastic start. We've had some challenging times over the past 3 weeks. That we're all working hard to try and rectify. We're not used to losing, and that's something that we don't want to get used to. So we've been working really, really hard the past couple of weeks to try and rectify and see what the problems are that we're having at the moment, which we seem to have done. We got a 2-2 at the weekend, so we've stopped the rot, and we're hoping to continue that and pick up the 3 points on Sunday. But yeah, it's been a pleasing start for us.
Obviously, if all goes well, there'll hopefully be about 2,500 people there who don't normally watch you. So what can you tell us about your team and the way you play football?
First of all, we want 3,500 to be nice, because we obviously want to break the attendance record.
You have some people already.
But so as far as I'm concerned, it's we'll look to play a normal style of play, nice attacking, fast football. Nice to be open and expansive as much as we possibly can. But to be honest, I'm not too fussed if we don't play that well. It'll be nice, just as long as we pick up the 3 points. That's the most important thing for us. At the end of the day, we could play really, really well out there and get beat 1-0, be absolutely devastated. So I'll definitely take the points over the performance on that one.
Tracy, for the club and the whole women's setup in general, can you tell us the significance of this occasion?
It's a fairly significant event, and it's an opportunity for us to look forward for the women's setup. When we get the opportunity to play Women's Super League, one of the games will be here, some of the games for the Women's Super League. I also think it's really aspirational. We are quite comprehensive in our talent pathway at the club. We have a youth setup that is thriving. In our under-17s, we have 5 international players. And having them come to the game and watch the seniors take on Charlton here at the Amex will be aspirational for them, because I'm sure they'll be sitting in the seats wanting to be getting out on the grass themselves. So across the board, women and girls, it's a huge step forward. I also think it's a big step for the club itself as well, with the fact that the board and Tony and the support that we're getting. I think it's acknowledgement for the hard work that we've put in over the last 2 or 3 years to bring the programme up to the level it is at the moment, and we couldn't wish for it to be happening with a better club.
And have you seen progress in terms of supporters and participants since the World Cup?
Participants, we were somewhere in the region of 500 players trialled out for our youth setup. I think we took somewhere in the region of 2% out of those 500. So yes, the awareness across the board is becoming more and more. I think that's through James and the girls' performances on the pitch is driving that awareness as well. That coupled with the success of the England team at the World Cup. So yes, we're seeing both awareness grow for people that want to play for Brighton, but also we're seeing good crowds down at Sussex, Culver Road, where we play most of our home games. So yes, the awareness is definitely rising.
James, are you and the team going to have a chance to train out on the pitch in the Amex before the match? Do a proper training session out there?
That's one I'd have to ask the head groundsman. I don't think he'd be too impressed with me asking him that, because obviously the men have a home game on Saturday, so I think that will be difficult for us. But the facilities that we have at the training ground are absolutely top drawer, so there won't be any problems with regards to our preparation.
Obviously, playing back here at the Amex, you'll be back on turf. What's it been like so far playing on the 3G pitch at Culver Road?
Absolutely, fantastic. As you can imagine, there's no bobbles, there's no excuses. It suits our games. We like to get the ball down and play through the third. So, it definitely suits our game to be playing on at Culver Road, and the facility as a whole is a real good facility. It's the ground's quite enclosed, so that makes it, when you get a big crowd there, it makes it quite a good atmosphere. The changing room facilities are right on top of the pitch, so you don't have to walk too far. So all those little bits and pieces obviously add to the facility, and it's brilliant. We absolutely love it there.
And you mentioned before the Charlton game, you've got a few tough fixtures coming up. Firstly, on Sunday away to Cardiff, chance for a bit of revenge from a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
definitely be looking for some revenge. It's a game that we're looking at that we feel that we must win. We don't like to put too much pressure on ourselves, but obviously how the past 3 weeks have gone, picking up 1 point in 9, we'll be looking to go there and win the game on Sunday, and we're more than capable of doing that. We played them a few weeks ago. They scored a free kick and a penalty. So they beat us via two set pieces. So we're more than confident, and we've got enough in the locker to be able to pick up the points.
After that, you've then got West Ham, who you obviously played last week. What do you make of that fixture setup? That obviously you're playing the same teams quite frequently in a number of weeks.
Games are games at the end of the day. We're sort of used to it playing in this league, and we've had a fixtures work. So games are games. Doesn't matter whether you play Cardiff 3 times on the bounce, West Ham 3 times on the bounce. Doesn't matter. We just look forward to every game that we play.
Thanks. Tracy, like you were saying before, it says a huge amount about the rise of women's football, the fact that the women's team are playing here at the Amex. They've said that they want to get 3,500 in the Amex for the match. Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
I think we're blessed by the supporters that we have here at the club, and I think that the challenge that Tony set to them to break that record, I think we'll manage to do. I also think that the partnerships that we have with Sussex County FA and Albion in the community will help us fill the stadium to actually break the record. I'm really, really hoping that we do, and I do hope that it has a snowball effect for women's football per se, in the fact that once we've broken that league attendance record, hopefully another club will pick up the gauntlet and run with that, and maybe hopefully try and beat our record, that if we're lucky enough to set it on that day. And I think it will be massive for women's football across the country.
Do you think it says a lot about the club's aspirations to want to be playing at that level, obviously getting the side into hopefully the Super League next season?
Aspirations for the club are no different, man or woman. Whether it's that they want to play men's football in the Premiership or women's in the Super League, the support from the club is the same, and the aspirations are no different. I'm sure Tony and the board want winning sides and competing at the very highest level. When I took the job on originally, my interview was about getting Women's Super League and also getting Champions League football out there. Last night I went to the Wolfsburg-Chelsea game and watched the game there and at Staines FC, and it was excellent. And we walked out there today, and I'm already thinking what it will be like to have the Brighton women out there playing in the Champions League on the Amex. That we won't hide our ambition. We're very ambitious.
Brilliant, thank you.
Tracy, given where you've come from, how proud are you to have achieved what you've achieved in the last 2 years in terms of where you've come from and where you are now, and you can be speaking realistically about UEFA Champions League?
Absolutely phenomenal. On the day they offered me the job, they told me they didn't have WSL. So it's not just about me, it's about the team that's around me. It's also about the support of the club. I came to this club because this would be the club that would take the women's game forward. I could have gone to another club for WSL, already had it, but I made the decision to come to Brighton because I knew they would integrate it. I knew the support would be phenomenal. When you look at how we run as if a WSL club off the pitch. The only place we don't have it is actually on the pitch, and I'm sure that we'll rectify that as soon as we can.
And you spoke earlier about the internationals at lower age groups. It's an exciting future. You must be really proud with those young girls coming through.
Absolutely. And it's really important that we have the platform that they can play on. Already they're playing against other youth internationals, against the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Millwall. So we already play the youth setup from those WSL teams. And it's about making sure that we have the platform for them to go on to play at the very highest level. I look at some of those youth international players that we have in the setup, and I look at them and think they'll be playing WSL 1 for us on the Amex one day, definitely. So yeah, I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve collectively as a team and as a club over the last couple of years.
Just touching on the business side of it, you're starting to see sponsors and commercial partners that are really switched on to backing the women's game. It is starting to to grow in that way as well. Is that something you're finding here at Brighton as well?
Absolutely. I think since Derek Chapman's come on board, the new chairman, he's actually also on the board of the main directors for the main club, and Derek's very, very to the point, and he sees the potential in the actual growth of the women's game. And the first thing we need to do is to ensure that everyone's aware of the product that James and the first team are producing, because it's exceptionally good. The standard of football that we're producing as a women's first team is very, very good. It's very easy on the eye, and once people tend to come and watch, they don't tend to leave. They'll tend to come back for other games. Once that awareness is reached, and I think the game at the Amex is going to really help with that, you'll find that more and more sponsors want to become involved in the women's side, purely and simply because it's such a great product and it's such a great club, and why wouldn't you want to be involved in that? And once that awareness comes, then we can look at commercially monetising the product and hopefully help take it to the next level.
James, just touching on a comment I read from Derek Chapman, he sort of challenged fans to come and watch the team and feels that at least 50% will want to come back and watch at least another game, if not more. Tell us a little bit about the style of play, because it is different from the men, but can be just as entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a firm believer in trying to play through the different thirds of the pitch, trying to get the ball down on the grass. That's why we have grass on the pitch, in my opinion. So I like to get the ball down. I like everybody to be able to get involved in the game. Exactly the same in the training sessions. I feel that when players play, the amount of touches they get on the ball in a game tends to be significantly low for the majority of teams. And a lot of their work they do is actually off the ball, whereas I like to try and get that the other way round if possible, and get them lots of touches of the ball. So that's how we set up to try and play. You do have to adapt, and we are finding that this year with how teams are setting up against that. So you do have to adapt, and you do have to have a different way of playing, which we have now. So yeah, it's not all about the pretty football. It gets to a point where it is actually about getting the results that we need to get us promotion. So however we need to play and set up to do that, then that has to be our ultimate goal. But yeah, we like to be a nice passing side that likes to go forward.
And for you, you've coached boys and girls, and men and women, so to speak. What's the difference between the two?
Great
very
question.
Drilled.
No pressure. Great question. For me, I find that the ladies take on the information quicker. That for me is quite a big thing. They're tactically quite astute, which tends to be slightly different from the men. Don't get me wrong, you can get, obviously, depending on the level that you're coaching. There tends to be less egos in the women's game, I find, at our level, I find anyway. Obviously, I wouldn't know in the WSL 2 and WSL 1, but at our level you tend to get less egos and less opinions, and they tend to get on and do what you're asking them to do. So that makes it very, very easy to coach from my perspective.
And I guess for any young footballer, male or female, it's great to come and watch your side play, because they will learn how to play football technically, tactically.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope they do. I hope every person that comes in, male or female, that come in and watch us play, actually have a look at and try and work out what we're trying to do, and actually try to understand the game. I think that's one of the biggest parts of football, really. You've got so many people that play it across the country, but you've only got sort of, I'd probably say 50-60% of that actually understand how that actually works. And for us to be educating people when they come through and watch our games is obviously a bonus for us, as well as us enjoying it, and as well as us getting the 3 points. So if we can sort of get those three together and produce that each week, I'd be more than happy with that.
And finally, what role can the supporters play? Obviously, you're looking for a big crowd here at the Amex on the day. What role can they play?
Like the phrase is used as the 12th man, isn't it? I think. So yeah, definitely. We get the supporters through the gates, the girls would be absolutely ecstatic with that, and I can only see that driving them on. And if that drives them on, then I'm going to be very excited to see what they can produce on the day, because even when we're at Culver Road on a wet and windy day, and we've got sort of 100, 150 there, which is still a really good crowd for the level of football that we're playing at. For us to be able to produce a level of football that we do, God knows what they're going to produce if we've got sort of 3,500, 4,000 here. I'll be really excited to see that.